So, welcome back, everybody, to of course my channel you're watching on Quick Crypto. We got a very special edition this week. We have Crypto Pumps here, Ja, who's also joined with some very special guests here. Ashton, the business development newly appointed for IGRA, and also Kaspador. We know him very well in this space as well. It's going to be a very jam-packed session to say the least. If you want to any kind words about this as well, Joe?
Yeah. I know the two lads. I met the two lads in Berlin, and what you see is what you get. You wouldn't meet two nicer guys. So I think it's an example of the people that are involved in the Casper community, all very honest and hardworking. So it's great, and they're willing to be guinea pigs for the first show. So appreciate that.
No
Jay,
worries,
you
man.
take it away.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, happy to be here. Appreciate the invite.
Great stuff. Well, as we kick this off, just for those who may be potentially new watching to Casper, or even those who may not be fully in tune to what's taking place, we could probably do a quick, brief introduction. Take it away with Ashton first, and then Casper, just to give a bit of a rundown on what it is that you do within Casper, who you are, and everything else.
Yeah, sure. You want me to start, Jay?
Please do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Ashton. I know a lot of people in CAS community. I've been involved for close to 2 years now. I helped start the first or one of the first meme coins as a KRC20 token on the protocol developed by Casplex. That was, I guess, a year and a half, a little over a year and a half ago now. Time flies. I've helped build a mining pool, a couple other tools, a early block explorer for KRC20. I talk about Caspa whenever I can. I love it. I think one of the hallmarks of the last year and a half was the Caspa experience in Berlin, where we got close to 200 people together just to collaborate and showcase what. There it is, nice. And showcase what a Caspa economy looks like in real life. So we had food and drinks and merchandise and stuff all available for CAS. Just recently this year, about 2 weeks ago now, I've joined the IGRA Labs team, which is EVM programmability layer that's coming as a layer 2 to running on top of Caspa, a base rollup. So I do business development and ecosystem growth there, and sums up probably most of what you need.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashton. And Capador as well. Can you please give a little bit of rundown about yourself and what is it you're doing?
Sure. Thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure being here with you. So I've been in Caspa for almost 3 years now, and for the last year I've been with Casplex, which delivered the layer 2 EVM on top of Caspa. Prior to this, I've been a Caspa ambassador for obviously Caspa, and we had some very interesting events around it in Romania, Malaysia, Berlin, London, and I missed the the London one. But yeah, as Ashton, I'm doing the same. Let's say preaching Caspa everywhere I can, uh, since from the morning to the dawn. So we live and breathe Caspa, and this is my job as well, Caspa and Casplex.
So Ashton, you had a post out there recently about IGRA. They've launched a couple of new nodes that are coming out. They have the tester node and they have the challenger nodes. Can you explain the difference between them two, please, and what they do?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. So, Egra's layer 2 is interesting because there's some kind of complexity around introducing an Egra token and a layer of what I think is kind of pseudo proof of stake on top of this. Both Casplex and Egra are based rollups, and some of the first instances of them in the wild, right? So this means that both networks inherit the security and consensus and ordering of transactions on layer 1, and it requires, or Caspa requires some often like reorgs of transactions where things may change ordering before they get completely finalized. And as it relates to Egra's layer 2 specifically, we wanted to make nodes accessible to anyone. So from day one, anyone can run a node, and many times the re-indexing of the entire chain is a big barrier to entry for that. So you don't want to have to in a base rollup, you don't want to have to re-index all of the layer 1 transactions just to start up a layer 2 node. So attestations and the attestation protocol in Egra is important to this because attester nodes are consistently generating proofs and consistently proving that every transaction happened the right way, it was included in the right block, and it enables light and ultralight nodes to be set up where end users don't actually have to re-index the entire chain to set up their own node and get either dedicated RPC access for their DeFi applications or just the sovereignty of being able to run their own node. So this entire attestation protocol consists of mainly 2 different types of players. An attester node is watching transactions on both the layer 2 and layer 1 and consistently generating the proofs that these happened correctly and in the order that we expected them to. And all of those attestations actually get logged in a layer 2 smart contract. So if someone wants to turn up a new light or ultralight node for easy access on their own, they don't have to go through and reprove all of the history of transactions. They have a set of proofs that don't get pruned over time. They're just permanently there, and it enables these nodes. The challenger nodes are an interesting concept that I've personally never seen before, where we're essentially inviting people to watch these attestations and raise their hand and say, hey, this one doesn't look right, right? This is a malicious node, or this is a bad proof that's not true. And they submit that and are getting rewarded for any time they're correct. So not only are we allowing really the decentralization of anyone to run a node, but also anyone to attest to the provability or the facts of what's going on the network, and anyone to challenge that and say, no, this one is incorrect. So I think it brings a lot of decentralization and easier access to running L2 nodes in a base rollup environment like we've got.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And actually, I was because when first hearing about the attestation protocol in IGRA, my interpretation of it is, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is it looks like it's something that would not just help in the usability, how easy it'd be to utilize IGRA, and also help maybe in the speed element in it as well, but it would ultimately help bolster the security of the entire stack from IGRA all the way down to Kaspa due to the slashing feature as well.
Yeah, it absolutely does, right? So if these attesters are submitting proofs that are incorrect, or the challengers, catch them in submitting something that's incorrect, there are both penalties and slashing of the staking that's done. And there's a lot of conversation in the Kaspa community of why IGRA introduced a token, and this is really what it powers, right? It empowers the incentivization to run nodes and the economies of making sure that people can submit proofs and are rewarded when they challenge those proofs successfully. So I think I agree with you 100%, Jay.
Okay. And you have 2 rewards. You have ICAS and you have IGRA. Can you tell the difference between them?
Yeah, for sure. So the attestation nodes, like permanently, the way they just operate, they do get rewarded in ICAS, which is essentially just the L2 version of Kaspa that's bridged to IGRA's network. The IGRA token itself as rewards is an incentive and bootstrapping function where we can help increase rewards for early adopters and early access attesters, essentially just to bring up the network and ensure that we get good decentralization from the beginning by incentivizing people to do that.
Okay. And probably, sorry, Jay, just another question there. On the hardware requirements, is it so I have a few nodes. I had a node running there on a laptop. It didn't need much, it was an old laptop. It's cheap to run on, But on is that why there's a reward? Because you need a little bit better hardware for this, and that's why you're kind of getting a reward as well?
I think it's a fair statement, but I think it's a little bit more than just that, right? Because if you want to have like a sustainable node network over a long period of time, you have to incentivize people to do it, right? And we've seen this even on Kaspa L1. We've got a lot of like cypherpunks and crypto diehards or Kaspa lovers that just want to run a node, right? And then you also see the layer of miners that want to solo mine, and they want the sovereignty of mining to their own node, which is obviously the best thing you can do for the layer 1. Avoid the pools and just solo mine yourself. But when it comes to a layer 2, especially a base rollup layer 2, there is no incentive to run a node unless you create this type of economic dynamic that does reward individuals for doing it. So it's not just that the hardware requirements are higher, it's that many people may not choose to run a node regardless of hardware requirements if there's not some economic incentive to do so.
Okay, nice. And I wanted to ask on the I had a question in my head there. Is that going?
In the time being while you're trying to think of that, just want to let everybody know who's watching, if any of you have any questions you want to raise with either Ashton or Kaspador during our stream, then leave the question down in the chat, and once we get to the Q&A section, we'll get round to it. We made a post about that earlier on both our Twitter accounts, so don't be shy. Of course, this is our community. We all know what's going on right now, so if you have any questions, it can be anything from what do you think Kaspa's going to do in 2026? We don't talk about price, so talk about more so development-wise. But even now, or even maybe a bit more technical questions, if you want anything to ask, just I'm sure both of them would be very, very happy to answer any questions. And that's actually something that I wanted to segue into, actually, just to on Ashton for one more moment. Not sure if any of you tuned into the blockchain banter yesterday night. It was a crazy session, to say the least, and also the reason why we're doing what we're doing today. In that, Pavel, he dropped a major alpha, which I'm sure Ashton can possibly elaborate on. For those who may not be aware, Igra Labs, 5 days now, they are live on a closed mainnet, which is insane stuff. So is there something you could build on that, Ashton? Something that we can let us know why, like, this is such a big deal to hear. I can't believe Pavel said that in such a nonchalant way as well. It's crazy to me even now.
Yeah, it was a fun session for sure, and I honestly didn't even expect him to drop that. I had known about it in our chats for a little while, but the point of what's going on right now on mainnet is really just testing a real world environment. If anyone's ever built on CAS before, or if you've ever experienced testnet, you'll quickly notice that testnet environment operates a bit differently because it's a proof of work network, right? We don't have a lot of hash rate on testnet. We don't have a lot of activity in users. A lot of what's going on testnet are either tests that people are doing, or just Coinbase transactions that are running from CPU miners and these very kind of lightweight things. So the reorganization events that happen on testnet are very, very different than how they happen on mainnet. The theory behind them and the code is all the same, but how it actually plays out in the real world environment, because of how many transactions are there, become really different. So as we're moving towards the version 2 of the testnet nodes, which many operators in the community are already running, we needed to optimize for what the mainnet experience really is going to be. So it's been running successful. They've done a lot of great optimization work to reduce hardware requirements for not only orchestrator nodes, but these attesters and challengers that we talked about too. The goal really is to get to kind of a minimum viable hardware requirement to make the network work. And we needed to experience what mainnet's like for that. So the mainnet version that's running now is not, it doesn't have like an Igra token yet. It doesn't have the token generation. The TGE event happened. There's no real DeFi applications. What we're looking at is really orchestrating how to properly build the attestation layer, the transaction protocol, and really just the base rollup as a whole in the mainnet environment. So I was told that we expected it to go down a few times, and that maybe we'd get it running for 48 hours. So I was stoked to hear that it's been running for, I think now 6 days strong, and it seems to consistently do that. So it seems like we're a little ahead of the game from what we expected, and it's very likely that this will grow into the whitelist mainnet where DeFi applications can get on, and then eventually the public in the coming weeks.
Well, if it's powered by Kaspa, then I'm sure you're ahead of the game as always. Everything's always ahead with Kaspa. I wanted to quickly segue, Kaspador. One thing I wanted to ask you first and foremost, if you possibly can, is do you have any idea in any regards to what's taking place currently on Casplex, being the other layer 2 that's also already live on the mainnet on Kaspa, with Igra obviously mainnet imminently launching?
Of course. So To be honest, I'm looking forward to see Igra's mainnet. It's always a pleasure to, and it's indeed a pleasure to have the choice of what to use as a community member. So basically, I always keep saying this: it's not Igra, it's not Casplex, it's not Casplex, it's not Igra. Basically, it's some tools that, at the end of the day, will benefit Caspa as a whole. Doesn't matter who does what. Uh, but it does matter if everything works out and there are no loss of funds. So everything will be just fine. I'm sure of that. In terms of Casplex, 2026 is going to be a very interesting year for us. And I'm saying this because the updated white paper is going to be released in the coming weeks. And this white paper will include a roadmap as well, what we are aiming to achieve in 2026. More insights on that as soon as the white paper is launched. What I can tell you is that um, we tend to only release announcements when we have something tangible, and that obviously works. And we are at the stage where now I can say that the team is working on a new VM, not new in terms of not being, let's say, developed from scratch, reinvented by them. It's Lua, and on top of that, that new VM will bring, let's say, faster transactions and higher throughput of transactions for KRC20. This means that I had a call to a chat today with our colleagues, and basically, in a nutshell, uh, there are minimum requirements to run the new virtual machine. 60 giga of RAM and 16 giga of 1 second. I don't want to say stupid things. Give me 1 second. It's a very light hardware requirement. I need to find that. It was the entry hardware limit was very low. Again, 60 giga of RAM. Okay, found it. 60 core CPUs and 16 giga of RAM. And with the new VM, we can reach TPS up to 10,000 transactions per second, obviously. And this will allow us to explore more on the DeFi part, on the staking, on AMM, or related to KRC20. So KRC20 is having a full 2026 year ahead in developing and updates from that side. As we already know, KRC20 already supports the stablecoin issuance on a native way if someone wants, because of the OP codes available there. So further enhancements are down the line for KRC20, whereas for Casplex, layer 2 EVM that is already live since almost 3 months now. All the data related to it in terms of transactions, addresses, TVL, so on and so forth, are visible on the Explorer. And I'm trying to pick my words here. Um, uh, Things are going to get interesting, sorry, very, very soon on Casplex, with some developments that are to be announced at the proper time. You will see how Casplex behave under, let's say, higher load, or let's say constant load of transactions and usage. So in a nutshell, and to cut it very, very short, expect an updated roadmap for 2026, a new VM on KRC20, and an enhanced, I would say, usage of Casplex layer 2 EVM.
Awesome stuff indeed. That sounds very, very exciting. More stuff coming to Casper, of course, and I'm looking forward to the announcements. I wanted to also build on that one more of you, Kaspador, because those who may not be aware, there was a post back in the middle of November now, where on that post, we saw Johnny mention that we may potentially be seeing stablecoins, maybe the likes of USDC, this first quarter, Q1 2026. Now, of course, there may be NDs involved. I'm not going to expect you to leak anything or everything, but do you have any form of further developments or updates in that regard, so we can maybe know when to expect stables coming to Casplex and
Sure.
Kaspa?
So, of course, I'm not allowed to talk the details, so I will not mention USDC or USDT. But yes, stables are coming. To be honest, this is work in progress, and it's debatable here. You have two ways of doing stables, and Ashton, feel free to chime in if you want. You have the native stable coins, and you have the bridge stable coins, right? Bridging stable coins is not very difficult, and you don't need anything from the stablecoin issuers to do that. It's just a bridge from Ethereum or Binance or wherever you want, and bridge the stable coins to Casplex or Igra. That is the bridged version, right? And this is an entire debate on the bridge. Is it decentralized? Who controls the keys? Can it rug? Can it be hacked? You know, all the fun stuff that can happen on a bridge versioning. Whereas the native stablecoins, I will not mention amounts, but it's very, very, very expensive to have that deployed. This doesn't mean that we are not doing it or we are ignoring it. What I'm saying is that bringing native stablecoins is not an easy job financially, more than technically. From a technical point of view, that will take a little bit more time, and it's obviously involves a lot of money. Whereas the bridging version, as I was mentioning, everyone can, not everyone, but everyone that can know how to handle that and to build a bridge, they can basically just bridge the stables. And I think there is already one solution out there. I saw on Twitter someone created a bridge between Ethereum and Casplex on the USDC part, and there was a testing with $5 or something just to make sure everything works. But again, this comes back to who do you trust? Because at the end of the day, you need to trust either the bridge owner or you obviously need to trust the stablecoin issuer, right? In both formats, doesn't matter. Nothing is 100% foolproof or let's say fail-safe, right? So again, because I tend to talk a lot, we had a lot of meetings with with this with the stablecoin issuers. This is work in progress. This is I see daily updates from our colleagues testing and doing different stuff. Again, I'm not going to be very specific about this, but I would say yes, Q1 2026 should definitely have stables on Caspa via Casplex, and be the again, I cannot say if it's going to be native or bridged because I don't want to break any um, NDA, right? So Jay, yeah, this is work in progress, and this is going to be released in terms of updates to everyone as soon as we can and are allowed to. And of course, once this is being signed off and agreed, you'll see marketing campaigns, you'll see promotion from both sides, the normal stuff when a new partnership is being agreed and signed and approved by both parties.
Damn, that is some major update. Thank you very much, Kaspador, as always. Now, I do see some questions. I'm going to ask if Joe would mind handling some of them. Just both of you prepare, really. It looks like a lot of them seem to be mainly focused around Ashton for now. So we'll get through some of them and then continue on a little bit. So, Joe, you can take it away, please. Currently muted, brother. Oh, there you go.
Sorry. How does IGRA guarantee the security and purpose of the funds? So is that flanged between Caspa L1 and L2, especially in the case of congestion or attack?
I'm guessing he meant bridged between L1 and
Right.
L2. I mean, the transactions that happen on IGRA, I mean, and there's no difference for Casplex, to be honest, is that it's they're based rollups, right? So the transactions actually get sequenced and confirmed and inherit the security and consensus of the Caspa layer one. So there's not a huge difference here in like the security level of transactions because they're all confirmed on Caspa L1. If you're talking specifically about a bridge, I think it's very similar to what Kaspador was just talking about with stables bridging, right? The Egra's solution for entry is a native bridge, right? Coming from L1 to L2 is simply a formatted transaction that happens on the Kaspa L1 that allows the generation of ICAS on L2 and the locking of that CAS on the L1. So it's pretty straightforward. The bridge back is something that I would need to talk to the team more about, to be honest, because we don't have a real life environment to see how this is working yet. We haven't seen people go from L2 to L1 on a bridge. So hopefully it helps a bit. It's not a complete answer.
Yeah. I have a question here from Banana. I know Banana, he lives in Azores. It's a nice island off Portugal. When we stop seeing L1 and L2 tokens that are the same but separate, we need something unique and one way to onboard everyone in the same path. Call it CAS 1.5 or L 1.5, KRC, something. It doesn't matter. Does that make sense to you, Ashton? Or
I can jump in if you want, Ashton, and we
Yeah, go for
can.
it.
Yeah. So if I get this right, basically, I think the question is rather like we have too many, not too many, because there are only two. We have different solutions, right? And
Yeah.
basically, people are asking how do we make one entry point for everyone, be it IGRA, Casplex, ABC, doesn't matter the name. I wouldn't agree with this necessarily because this is not something different from any other layer ones. You have multiple products. Doesn't mean if Figura exists, Casplex cannot exist, and vice versa. Or another layer two or another solution that is going to be delivered, deployed by whoever, doesn't really matter. So, as I was mentioning at the beginning of this podcast, basically, it's a free choice for people what to use, what they believe more, what they read more, what they trust more. So, in my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily wait for one single entry point. Rather, I would maybe wait for a joint effort to redirect users and developers, be it on any layer 2 that exists on Caspa. So you cannot unify. What you can do, obviously, you can have a bridge between IGRA and Casplex and the other way around, and just try and send assets back and forth. That is something different, like connectivity between all the layer twos out there. But to have one single point of entry, I don't think it's something that no one desires, and because that's a single point of failure as well. If I got the question right, but Ashton, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did get the question right, and I think I generally agree with everything you just said. Like, what he's asking for is unification of the entire Caspa ecosystem and anything that runs on top of it. And I mean, I think technically vprogs in the future might make this possible, but it would only make it possible if Casplex and IGRA developed and improved to the point where they could become, virtual program vprogs on Caspa instead of L2s. And then maybe there's some sort of atomic composability between all these different networks and corners of the ecosystem. But generally, I just think it's too early in development on that topic to even really consider it or wait for it or talk about it much. I mean, the core dev team for CAS is working on this, and we just need to learn. I personally don't know enough to even really comment on it. But yeah, to Kaspador's point, I mean, what he's saying is basically like, I mean, because Arbitrum exists and runs on top of ETH, Base shouldn't, or it's problematic that Base does, or Optimism or Polygon does as well. And it's not, right? I mean, they're different options for different use cases that all run on the same layer one, and the bridges and the ecosystem tools and utilities that come up are going to help the interoperability between this. So, the idea that you get, one single, Nacho or Casper or Goat or something that just works on everything and is a single point, I don't even think it's necessary. There's not even a ton of value from it. It's good to have the interoperability and the separation of risks and responsibilities.
Thanks for that. I think this is one for you, Kaspador. How many people currently run Casplex nodes outside of the Casplex team?
There are tens of nodes. I don't know the exact number, but since day one, when we released the GitHub with no announcement, because the way we wanted to do this was to just release the Docker image of the nodes and let it be. let the community discover. Don't say anything about it. In the very first day, I think we had like 10 or something people, but obviously those were like anyone wanted to test. I'm also running one as well, right? But then we have some teams running them because they need it, and then we are in discussions with the infrastructure providers to host and serve them as a service to whoever wants to consume them, right? So you have Casplex team running them, you have community members running them, you have teams running them, and then you have the infrastructure providers again that want, and we are in active discussions with some of them to basically offer the Casplex nodes as a service to the community. And this is another discussion because there are costs associated with this, meaning that we can either pass the cost to the community if they want to, instead of running a node on Casplex and just point to one existing out there in any infrastructure provider environment, we can either support that financially by saying, okay, we are covering the cost, or pass the cost to whoever want to use this. This is not something new. It happens on every chain. You can rent a node, you can point to a node, you can just use the infrastructure provider. So I don't have 100% the numbers, but there are tens of nodes running out there.
Okay. One for you, Ashton, because I got over my brain freeze there. How much IGRA is there? Do you need a certain amount of IGRA token to run a node?
For a normal node, no, you don't have to do anything. But the testers do require a staking of tokens. It's not 100% finalized yet because there's no mainnet yet, so this could change. But the expected number is 400,000 IGRA tokens.
Okay. And at the moment, some of us that got into the pre-sale early, we have a KRC20 token called IGRA, IGRAW, and that's kind of like a placeholder until the real IGRA token comes out. Is that going to launch when you go live on mainnet fully?
Yeah, TGE is expected to be before public mainnet in March, so I would estimate late February.
Okay, thanks. Just a question from Riley Way for you, Ashton. Is there any exchange listings on the horizon for Nacho?
You're talking to the development guy and PR guy, not the exchange listings guy. Iron Frog in the Nacho community leads these efforts. I don't know exactly. He is definitely talking to a lot of different exchanges at any given time, and there are two that are really popular, high end. I don't want to say they're like tier ones. They're not tier ones, but they're sought after exchanges that people trust and like to see. And they both already offer kaspa. So we've been working with them for a long time on KRC20 protocol integration and just being able to do it. But I don't have a specific timeline for you. So I think most likely is the right answer to that question.
That's really interesting. And actually, like, I was going to ask that as well. If there's, of course, now 2 weeks into IGRA, congrats as well, by the way, but is there anything else particularly that you're excited about or working on this year that, or is your whole life now pretty much just IGRA as you've now been added to the team?
No, it's not. I mean, and I don't want that to sound like I don't care about the IGRA work. I do a lot, and honestly, these last 2 weeks have been some of the most fun that I've had in crypto in a long time. So it's really positive. But I started with IGRA as a part-time role. So I've told the Nacho, the greater kind of cat community that nothing really changes for them, and it doesn't, right? I mean, I'm still working on the bridge that we have and adding support to for the IGRA networks because we already operate the bridge going from KRC20 to Casplex EVM L2. So we're going to add that to IGRA as well. We still operate the cat pool mining pool. Yeah, so there's not a lot that's changed. I've just added on this task that, or this responsibility that creates a really good positive flywheel of helping the entire ecosystem and creating good partnerships across those, right? We talked a little bit about stable coins, and I was in a meeting today where we're bringing together 4 or 5 different projects to help support bridging any tokens really, but stables included onto IGRA so that hopefully we can see those live at mainnet launch in just a few weeks. So yeah, I think there's not a lot of difference for the Nacho community. It's just more work to be done. It's fun.
So let me get this straight. You said you might be seeing stables on IGRA by mainnet launch.
Yeah, I mean, there would be bridge versions. Casper, just like Casper was saying, I mean, getting native ones is extremely expensive and has a massive regulatory risk associated with it, right? Like Circle and Tether and these companies they're not excited to issue their native stables on a brand new network that's untested or just a few months old or things like this. So you end up either paying for it or going through some really extensive, regulatory and compliance issues that are big hurdles. But there's a lot of really well-known teams that have already been audited, used for years, that are able to bridge tokens of any kind, including stables, from an EVM network to another EVM network. So, our meeting today and the efforts are really around just focusing on leveraging the existing trusted solutions that are well audited and well documented to accelerate bringing them on. Which I know we can't assume anything, but it sounds like everyone here, both networks, are basically going down a very similar path, in my opinion.
Well, there you have it. That's insane stuff. And I mean, yeah, you were building off as well what Capital said earlier about natives, while still a goal in a roadmap for both
Mm-hmm.
Casplex and Negra, and even for
Caspa
Casper
L1?
as well. Yeah, Casper
Yeah.
L1 indeed. There was something that I know I mentioned to you beforehand, which I'm going to share my screen now. Whether you have any thoughts on this, please, by all means, let me know. But those who may not be aware, there has been a lot of developments in the Senate right now regarding the new incoming Clarity Act, where there's been a yield update, where, as Ellen and Tara highlighted here, banks have won this round on stablecoin yields. The long and short of it is it seems that there's been a dispute between Coinbase DeFi elements and banks on who should earn the reward from stablecoin yields. Banks don't want institutions like Coinbase, the third party people to earn the rewards from it. They want to have it for themselves. So knowing that and knowing that we may potentially have, in the future to be, of course, again, very expensive to have natives on any time in the general speaking, but would the idea of this current development, would this impact potentially what's happening in the general capital space as well?
I think it's going to be related, and it'll certainly, like, whatever this Clarity Act ends up passing as, if it passes, will have a massive effect on stables in any network, inclusive of Egra, Casplex, Caspa L1. But honestly, it looks like just run-of-the-mill lobbying kind of capitalism, protect my business theory that we see in politics all the time. Of course, banks don't want to see custodians and exchanges and even retail users get yields, because why are you going to deposit anything in their checking accounts or their savings accounts, and where are they going to make their money or have their deposits? It just won't be attractive if they're not able to capture some of that yield and revenue for themselves. So I don't know. I haven't followed it that closely, but it seems like just bank lobbying to protect their business more than it is anything else.
I mean, yeah, it's banking. That my interpretation of it is just banking cartel at full force once again, just doing what they do best, just trying to regain the control of the system that they have, in a sense, just kept sending lower and lower and lower, just putting the squeeze on everybody, really.
Yeah. So this is why, like, decentralized protocols that they can't control and hardware wallets that they can't access are so important, because users need to be able to custody their own assets and get their own yields directly without needing some JP Morgan middleman that's just essentially reaching in their pocket and stealing from them every day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Do we have any more questions? I do have, of course, a few more questions to ask both of you in a moment, but do we have any more community questions first and foremost, Joe?
Not serious one, just the one on the screen. Does anybody want to have a guess who Wallet One is?
I thought it was you.
Me? Oh yeah, because my name. Yeah.
I was told it was Wolf.
Yeah.
I thought Wolf had Wallet One.
To be honest, I had a discussion with Wolfie, not Wolfie, around this, and we were doing some back and forth. I don't know, discussions, trying to figure out who Wallet One could be, and it can be anyone, right? It can be large institutions, it can be maybe some very rich guy that doesn't give a fuck about his money and he's just buying Caspa for his pleasure. Don't know. It can be obviously everyone, and I have at least, but I will not say it because it's just my personal belief. I have my personal, let's say, guess
Theory.
that someone is behind this, but again, I'm not going to say anything because it's just my personal belief, and I don't want to put hopes or to say some stupid things
Ah,
to
go
anyone.
on, go on, go on.
No,
Oh,
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
DMing you
Go
right after
on.
this.
I mean, I'll say what I've been saying this for a while
Man,
in
man,
my own community. I believe it could be most likely some form of market maker because they've
yeah,
been getting it from Bybit, from
everyone.
KuCoin,
Yeah.
Kraken.
Kraken. They got it
Yeah.
from Bitvarvo recently as well, and they got these accumulating since March 2024,
Hmm.
and they have now got 1.2, 1.3 billion Casper. Like,
Uh,
save
uh,
some for the rest
Nice.
of us.
yeah, they were focused on Gate most
Yeah.
and KuCoin, if I remember correctly. But then for the last few weeks or purchases or something, they started diversified buying or transferring out from multiple different exchanges. So I'm not
Hmm.
sure what's the deal behind it, but I think that the question is also a more interesting question is or would be, is this okay for us as a community to see like 5-6% of the
Hmm.
total supply being held by one entity or whoever that is, and if that guy or group of persons are still trying or they are still buying, and if they reach 10-15%, what then? When you go into these tokens and you see 99% held by the development wallet, you are saying, okay, they're going to dump and rug on us, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this is like again a large discussion, because you can say maybe this is better, maybe they are institutions that they want to control and have a lot of the supply available, right? But at the end of the day, and I saw this this tweet, and I agree with. He said, we are the one to be blamed because we sold Caspa to them. Me, you, everyone, right? Well, of course not us, because I never, or at least for the last 1 year, I didn't sell anything. But it's obviously you cannot hold the entire supply as a community. And let's do some math if you want on this. We are like 40,000 people on Caspa Telegram, right? Uh, how much cash they could have? 1, 2, 3 billion, and then you have the early adopters and miners, 1 to 3 billion, and then you have the entity X with 1.2 or the 1.3 billion, but who owns the rest of 10 billion or something?
Hmm.
So it's very difficult. But anyway, uh,
You never said your guess.
I will not say
It's
it.
a good try though.
uh,
Do you
But
have any predictions?
how can they buy so much in such a short time and it doesn't affect the price? Like how much can somebody have that they're buying it over the counter
Maybe
constant?
it's Satoshi Nakamoto. Maybe
maybe
he's finally flipped from Bitcoin.
Maybe they're just putting buy walls, right? And you get 1 million, 2 million, 3 million each day. You don't need to buy. You just need to be, let's say, sold into your purchase order, right? You don't need to move the chart because you are just putting a bid of
Yeah.
a certain
Limit
price.
orders.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't mean that if they are transferring millions, because they are doing that for like 2 years, or what's the time frame? You have
Almost two
plenty of.
years now.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you
Um,
have 700 days. You can buy 10 million per day without moving the needle.
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts, Ashton, or no? Or
No, I mean I don't.
no?
I think Castro brings up a good point of like, are we okay with this? I think at this level, I am personally. I'm not too concerned about it just yet. If it were to get up to 15-20% range, right? I mean that is very very concerning. Um, but I think right now it's a green signal more or less. It's positive. It's probably some sort of institutional exchange or market maker or liquidity provider of some sort. And it's probably generally a positive signal that we see someone with this type of funds caring about acquiring that much, especially during the downturn of the last year. It's not like they got scared away when they were,
Yeah.
very underwater on their prices.
Mm.
They just kept doing it. So I think generally it's a positive thing right now, and we're all comfortably or cautiously happy about it. But But it's also against the ethos of Kaspa as a whole, right? I mean, if we really want to get back to cypherpunk nature, which crypto should be, then we don't care about market makers. We don't care about centralized exchanges. We care about peer-to-peer sovereign money. And that's maybe not a good sign for that topic. So I don't know. It's neither here nor there and to be figured out.
Sorry, Ashton, I know you have to go soon, so just two more
It's okay. I
questions
got
there for
15, 20 minutes.
you. Okay. How will the people that bought pre-sale be able to also be a tester, as they will get partial tokens as per vesting period?
Yeah, so these are different programs. If you were part of the OTC pre-sale, which technically is still going on for qualified individuals, if you're interested, you can reach out to me or the team, and we can put you in touch and in that pipeline. The attester program, you will have to have the minimum amount to stake, and that'll have to be like unlocked, right? It'll have to be available to you to stake. So it depends on how much you got and how that plays out. But they're still available to acquire more specifically for this attester program, and it's pretty cost effective. I don't want to quote exact TGE prices right now or what the discounts are available to, but getting a 50% discount or even potentially 75% discount compared to what that TGE price will be in a few weeks is still possible right now. And 400K eGRA tokens at that price is not much for most people that would be interested in doing, running an attester node. So you're not excluded in any way.
And there's a one there about Cap Pool. Are we close to Cap Pool coming out of beta?
The longest beta ever. Yeah, I mean, more or less it already is, and we just need to do the work to announce that and showcase it. So sorry that we've been busy with other things, but
I use Cap Pool. I like the way you get rewarded Kaspa and you get some nacho every now and again as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think last time I checked miningpoolstats.stream, we were 18th or 19th in the world for Kaspa pools. So, the point is, if you can run a node and you can solo mine, do that. Don't use Cap Pool, don't use via BTC, like don't use any of the pools. But it is open source, so if you and your friends want to get together and run one, we can help you set it up. It's really just a reference implementation for what I believe is the only or one of the only open source mining pools for Kaspa in the world. So it works well and it's good. We'll get rid of the beta logo soon.
Okay, I have 4K as 0 ultras running off Cap Pool, and it should be 1.2 terahash. But I looked at it today. I haven't looked. You only look at it every couple of months, and it's 12 gigahash. I don't know. They all died of death, so they're all working here. I presume we just have to turn them off and back on again, or
yeah, probably. Yeah, it's I typically look at my miners like at least once a week for that reason, because if you have like a network outage, you may need to restart or do something like that because you end up not getting connected.
Oh, sweet. I mean, we actually just seen a few more questions from people here as well. I guess kind of building on what we spoke about earlier. So this question can actually go to both of you because it was talking in regard to stablecoin. My understanding of it is very much as the base level researcher, but there was someone here who asked, stablecoins are coming, and they'll be most likely bridge stablecoins off to start off with. So will that work? Will that work the same way as Circle USDC, as like native? I'm assuming, or how are the difference between the two? Besides the cost between native bridging and or natively and bridging.
I don't think there's any real difference at the end of the day. I mean, the pipeline on how they get onto the network is different. The trust model of who you're trusting behind that stablecoin is a little bit different, but the effective use case of the stablecoin is
and backing of them as well.
Yeah.
So the difference just basically being if it's native, you have like a perceived a stronger voters' confidence on the network is native on now.
It may not even be stronger, right? I mean, if I get Circle or if I get USDC directly from Circle, I know that it's Circle's reserves and their T-bills and whatever it is, their basket assets that they're backing the stablecoin with. If I get USDC from Circle on ETH, it's the exact same thing, right? It's their native T-bills that are backing it, and then I move it to a different network and use it there. So effectively, you have one more step in the trust cycle of whatever the smart contracts or the custody provider is or whoever. But through that chain of bridging, you're still backed by the exact same assets at the beginning. You've just packaged it a little bit differently.
Interesting. I actually had no idea, to say the least. But that's exciting stuff. And those who are probably tuning in a little bit later now, we had confirmation from both Kaspador and Ashton that we should be seeing stablecoins on their respective layer 2s, therefore coming to Kaspa this quarter. So in the next 40, 50, 60 odd days then, give or take. So that is an alpha to give you there. Hopefully we'll see this stuff every week. Fantastic stuff there. Now, I know 10 minutes for you, Ashton, and I'm sure Kaspador, I know it's late for you as well, so we won't keep you too much longer. I want to, before we get any more questions, both want to ask just your general 2026 predictions for Kaspa, and I guess where you see the general crypto space going this year. You want to take it away, Kaspador?
Man, when it comes to pricing and TA and stuff like this, I'm below the sea level. I have no idea what's going to happen, nor do I care, to be honest.
No, trust me, neither do I. I don't talk about pricing this on my community channel. Everyone knows that price is just short-term distractions for what actually matters to the building.
Man, for me, and I keep saying this for the last 3 years, and I'm going to say it until the very end. For me, if Kaspa goes to zero, man, we are going to zero in a glorious way, with improvements, with breakthrough technologies, with tons of developers doing their outstanding work, with R&D channel buzzing day and night, right? So if we are going to zero, we are going in a very nice way. So it doesn't really matter for me. What matters for me is the journey, and I know this. We are in for the tech. You know the saying. For me, discovering Kaspa was something mind blowing. And if Kaspa fails, everything fails. And if Kaspa fails, I will not be rejoining crypto anytime. I don't really give a fuck what's going to happen with crypto. When it comes
It's
with
PG, you can't say that.
Demonetized.
But in terms of pricing, obviously I'm from Romania, and we have this Romanian Telegram group, and there are some very capable people posting their TAs and showcasing different stuff, right? And last year they were like pointing out to $1.18 per Kaspa. And we made a bet. I said, no, that's impossible. And he said, if I'm winning, you're going to pay me $20,000 cash. And if you are winning, you are going to get a free weekend at the seaside in my house, right? And
seems like a lopsided bet.
Is it like the house in the background you got right now then?
No, it doesn't look like that.
And but to cut it short again, 2026 for me, it would be nice, obviously, from a PEA point of view to see some movements. It would be nice to see at least revisiting the prior ATH, right? At least 20 cents. That is going to be something for the community for us, not the community, we are the community, for everyone to hope for and see that Kaspa didn't just die. And to be honest, I played a bit, but obviously, again, I have zero knowledge on TA, and I played a bit with Claude and with ChatGPT, asking the LLMs, saying what the price would be in your perception, and basically the highest that I saw, but again, it's just AI, right? Doesn't know shit. Sorry, doesn't know anything. It's I think the highest was like 80 cents or something. So for me, I would be happy to see 20 cents again, just to give the PA a bit of action, price action. In fact, for everyone to see that we are moving besides the technical things that everyone is doing, and besides the technology updates and upgrades, but we have some price movements. So I would go for maybe $0.50 this year, hopefully.
Nice, sweet. I mean, if we were to quickly share screen, Joe, we can see, just as I tend to normally do, looking at the market chart right now, Kaspa seems to be currently valued at about 4.78 cents. It's up 3% right now, which is not too bad. Bitcoin's getting its momentum. Will it surpass that level of resistance? Tough to say. It tends to normally struggle around this point here. But I mean, we're all loving the fact that crypto's looking green today. And I mean, 50 cents Kaspa, people who would have back 2-3 years ago when you had a Kaspa booming and the $10 price predictions coming out left, right, and center, that would have definitely infuriated a lot of people hearing that now. But honestly, 50 cents Kaspa, I think, that's a 10x from here. That would be exciting stuff to say the least. And again, it's a speculative prediction, of course. It's not by any means guaranteed that's going to happen. I think equally 20 cents Kaspa would be nice. And given what I have seen and what I've heard from the stream already from both of you, and even then what we've seen from like KRI as well, I'm optimistic that there's a lot of adoption that's going to come for Kaspa this year based on their development, and that could, you know, subsidize the price, help bring that momentum back.
Jay, do you remember ETH at $100?
Yes.
I remember that very well, and I said, "There's no way I'm going to buy ETH for $100." I said that's way too much, and then I think it dropped to like $70 or something. I said, normally it's a shit, another shit coin, right? And then we are at 3,000, right, or whatever the price is.
Yeah.
And I do expect Kaspa to behave the same, like shake everyone out, give a very low volumes. Everyone is bored of the PA. Everyone is saying, Kaspa is just going to drop. Paper hands will sell, and hopefully someday it will gain its let's say top three at least place in the crypto world. Be it in 1 year, be it in 10 years. But again, if Kaspa fails, my strong belief is that the entire crypto failed.
Oh, I can tell you now, one of my personal YouTube mods, Barton aka Crypto20, will love that comment because he is someone who's been he repeats to it repeatedly in my space about how, you know, remember ETH back in the day and how, you know, Kaspa and what it's building is Solana speed, but Ether, you know, sort of ecosystem. It's yes, I completely agree in the sentiment that if Kaspa fails, then, you know, everything money has failed. So Kaspa could just be going through that shakeout period and surprise a lot of people. And I mean, who knows? This year, so much going on, be it crypto, be it Kaspa, be it just the general macro. Like what's happening in this space, you know, seeing all the drama right now in the US, even the geopolitical tensions right now, the yen carry trade, what's happening in Japan, all these stuff that could be so just immediate surprising catalysts that could shake people, shake all the paper hands out. It's really tough to actually determine what's going to happen. But
you had Bitcoin at 69,000 and then it crashed to 13,000.
Precisely. Like anything can happen. Anything can happen. It is entirely possible. I mean,
so almost 5x, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming off one of the weirdest years in crypto ever, and I think a lot of it has to do with U.S. Politics and greater macroeconomics across the world. I mean, Japanese yen carry trade, like you were talking about, is a huge domino effect on macro and economics and investments. So it's I mean, I think the focus should be on Kaspa's adoption and the builders that are coming. And it's interesting because, you know, you had a lot of alignment in the community 2 years ago, you know, 2024, and then 2025 is kind of like this spread, right? I mean, you saw everyone kind of go their own direction and try different things. And from the conversations that the core dev team is having, and even some of the remarks Yanni's made, there's a lot more, I think, alignment and focus on needing to market Kaspa, needing to gain adoption, penetrate other crypto markets. So I put out a post in the first week of this year that was like 2026 is our year. But that's the year from the technical and the adoption and the building perspective, right? I think when you talk about like getting its top 3 spot, I've always kind of felt like that's closer to a 2030 goal than it is a 2025, 2026 goal.
Yeah, I had an interview with Ilal, you know, Ilal ex Dag Labs. Yeah, he thinks that obviously we need adoption, but he also thinks Kaspa could do if they had some kind of marketing. I know the community is kind of marketing, but if they just need more word out there, because still a lot of people haven't heard of Kaspa. I hear every day somebody says they've never heard of Kaspa.
What you need is I haven't actually heard more about it, but I know it was back in December that Kaspa Core Yoni mentioned about putting together a media outreach team. I haven't heard much more about that, but that would be huge, I'm sure, for getting the understanding of Kaspa out there as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to have professionals focusing on the things that they're professionals in, right? And community members talking about things in the decentralized nature of gaining adoption and yelling about CAS and pushing it into different corners is huge. It's necessary for any community, but you need a strong narrative that has some kind of ownership and responsibility and accountability behind pushing it. And it sounds like the core team, Yanni specifically, has been seeing more of that light recently. But a lot of 2025, we went through that experience of like, the core main quote unquote kaspa account just had a wild year of volatility and fights and arguments and things, and it was probably a healthy process that we needed to have, but I hope it's in the rearview mirror, and it seems like it is.
Yeah, you heard it here first from Ashton. CryptoPumpz and Quick Crypto, they're not enough. We need more. We need more to push out the voice of Kaspa right now.
Either you guys want to answer that question there? You are right, and then that comes to the question: how does Kaspa plan to maintain decentralization as throughput and adoption increase?
I'm guessing this is partly in question to Wallet One as well, and its current growing in allocation.
Oh, you think so? Yeah.
Possibly, or just in the element of, as Kaspa, again, we're thinking about the KRI and the kind of the bigger players who are starting to view Kaspa and even use Kaspa. How do we see Kaspa grow in adoption and utilization by these big players, but still maintain that decentralized element where it doesn't become monopolized?
Well, I think you support various different projects that are building on there, right? You've already got two EVM layer 2s. You've got multiple other protocols, right? K-Social, Cassia, even the original KRC20, the KRC 721 protocol, right? There's already a lot of this diversification of players in this space, and you need to support them and continue using these. But Kaspa is inherently decentralized. It's a proof of work network, right? I mean, mine to your own node. It's the easiest answer to that question ever.
Yeah.
I just used to think the decentralization was the coin allocation, who at what percentage, but it's to do with nodes as well, isn't it? How cheap it is to run a node in your house.
Absolutely.
How cheap it is to run a miner.
Because that's the thing with Bitcoin. While Bitcoin was also fair launch and it is decentralized, because it's so expensive to run a node and it's been monopolized by these massive Bitcoin mining companies, it becomes increasingly less decentralized, increasingly more centralized as a result of that. Where thanks to Kaspa and the working like Rust 10 BPS, it allows for people to utilize, I saw the post back last year, decade-old hardware. I saw someone on through my Twitter feed saying they're running a Kaspa node on like a 2013 iMac. I thought that's insane. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, you do not need much hardware requirements to do it. And you're right that the block speed allows more block rewards to happen. So while they're smaller block rewards, you're not going to get a full Bitcoin worth of value out of every block you strike in Kaspa, but you can actually get paid every single day for mining, even on a home miner, even on minimal, electricity usage. So I think caring about this is what keeps it decentralized, right? Because other people, like even in TradFi, like you don't care about learning how to manage your own money, and you hand it off to someone else, and now it becomes centralized and BlackRock owns the world, right? And you just care about it and learn how to participate is the number one way to keep it decentralized.
Another quick, terrible segue, but I saw Lev, the man himself, is in the chat. Well, he asked a question to both of you, which is, in a game of chess, which one of you two think would win?
I don't think I've ever talked to you about that, Kasper. Do you play chess?
I'm going to answer very, 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 very blunt.
You got no chance. You got no chance.
No. You can play with your eyes closed and you'll still win.
I was in Sydney one time and listening to Yanni speak on stage, and he was talking about like network latency and things like this, and he's like, he likened it to chess, and he's like, you only care if you're really a professional. And I remember thinking like, shit, I guess I know nothing about chess, because I don't even know why you would care about latency being a professional chess player. So yeah, I think we're on the same level, man. I play with a 9-year-old most of the time.
I remember, I think it was either Chris or it was Wolf. It was one of those two clowns who were saying if he beat Yodi in chess, we'd make him drink a beer out of the Viking horn.
I think you're more likely to just get him to drink it by
yeah, honestly. At this point, I don't know what it's going to take to beat Yoni at chess. That's going to be probably harder than trying to understand how to run VProcs.
Yeah, I would probably forget the rules if I sat down with him, because it would just be so intimidating. I don't even know what this game is anymore.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess in that case, I don't think we got we might have got you answer. Maybe I got missed in translation, but we got Kaspador's 2026 price prediction, not price prediction, just prediction in general. Do you have one as well, Ashton, just for the general outlook of Kaspa and crypto? Of course, not necessarily price, but mostly just what you see in the building and possibly adoption of Kaspa this year.
I think a lot of crypto in general and like institutional players in this space and stuff have seen Kaspa as like a fun new shiny toy that's just starting. It's really good tech. It's really cool, but it doesn't have a ton of history. It's hard to integrate and implement. There's not, perfect documentation and guides out there. And that's what I see happening in 2026 is us upgrading from this community project, which isn't a bad thing. I don't want to make it sound bad, but to something that is actually valuable to outside players. They look at it, they see value, and they go, hey, this is actually something that's going to disrupt what we're doing, and we need to get on board. And now we understand how to get on board. So you look at Casplex EVM, you look at Egra Labs, and the amount of kind of thought and effort they've put into attestation layers and node distribution and things like this. Like, I think we're going to see more and more people participate in creating, really meaningful things in CAS. And I think Cassia is a great example. K-Social is another great example. And, there's another like file storage protocol that someone was talking about on X recently. They came out. So
the computer games as well. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Your score gets printed on the block. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the chain signal where we can hold influencers accountable for their price predictions and stuff. I just think that I think we get enough infrastructure and enough eyes that it becomes real to a lot of players that maybe didn't use that word before. Yeah. And I think it'll have a really good effect on price, but I don't know what that is.
I agree, especially after the recent introduction. I know I've been seeing a lot of it through Ezio. Now you've got Python, startup on Kaspa as well.
The SDK is available in Python, right? And there's so many of these institutional players that use Python backend code that haven't really had access to this before.
Yeah.
We just had kind of JavaScript, TypeScript access, or full-blown low-level Rust code that could integrate. So.
Yeah, I saw Kaspador did something. He made a post about the Python as well with coffee.kas, cas.coffee.
Yeah.
So man, I just took the GitHub from Ezio Dev. I opened Cursor and I said, ingest this link and tell me what we can do for Cas Coffee. And Claude started saying, you can generate wallet, you can send private messages on chain, you can do ABC stuff. I said, okay, implement them all. And like in 1 hour, everything is up and running. And if you open Cas Coffee now, you can send a text message on chain. If a donor, if someone wants to donate something, she can also write something there. Thank you for your work, right? And that text is going to be embedded on Kaspa network. So you can, if you open any examples, go to examples and open any page, whatever you want.
This is yours, Kaspador. You made this, didn't you?
Claude made it, yeah. So basically just press view on any, it doesn't matter. And so with the SDK that and scroll down a bit, with the SDK from Ezio Dev and the guys, basically you just ingest the documentation there, and it allows you to generate your wallet in a private mode. You can do whatever you want. So talking to Ashton's point, or let's say adding on top of what he was saying, with the SDK, the entry level is so low that everyone can do anything. And in today's world, where you are just building something in 5 minutes with the AI, obviously it's not secure, and you still need to understand what you are doing. So that's why, for example, I'm not allowing anyone to connect their wallet on Cas Coffee, because I don't want to break and to be responsible for anyone's funds, right? So, but anyway, coming back to the SDK, with let's say such availability of development kits, everyone can do whatever they want on Kaspa. And I saw different use cases. And for example, I also built a raffle system on Casplex, which basically does on-chain winner selection. But sadly, that is not permitted by law, and it's considered gambling. But I've tested it, I've played with it, and it's amazing to see when the block comes and you press claim or select winner, the magic happens on obviously kaspa, seeing that the hash together with the block time and everything selects a winner. So that is something that I cannot showcase again due to the law restrictions, which I feel very, very bad, because I truly believe that's a very good idea. But yeah, these all developments are coming together thanks to EasyDev and to all other core developers and community members that are making Kaspa more accessible for everyone that wants to build on Kaspa. You don't need to be a guru, of course. If you are building a layer 2 or very specific apps like lending, borrowing, or very, let's say, financial tools, I wouldn't touch those with my
Yeah,
limited
leave those to
knowledge.
the professionals. For sure.
Exactly.
I wouldn't either.
All right, perfect.
Ash,
Well, yeah. Thank you both very, very much for your time today. I believe it's
Thank you.
midnight where Catherine's at right now, and even Ashton, I know you've got to dip off. So it was a pleasure. That's our first week doing a blockchain banter type of live. What do you think about that, Jer? Good stuff, wasn't it?
Oh, it was very good. It was rough start, but we went into it. So yeah, no, it was brilliant. Yeah, no, I want to say thanks to the two guys for coming on as well. I appreciate it. And
Thanks
just
for
want
having
to
us,
say,
man.
no problem. Me and Jay will be on next week, and we have a couple of guests lined up that would be very interesting as well. But Jay doesn't want to say who yet, so we keep it a secret.
Wow, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll announce it tomorrow. You know,
He only extracts the alpha out of us. He doesn't provide it himself.
Exactly. You know, I've got to be selfish sometimes. But yeah, thank you both very, very much.
Thanks, guys.
And yeah, those who are tuning in, that was being the first episode of Blockchain Banter, Banter at Internet Speed, with me, Jer, and our special guests Ashton and Kaspador. Next week will be equally very, very interesting. Some very exciting guests lined up. I'm looking forward to seeing what more Kaspador and Ashton and their respective developments, be it independent or even with Casplex and Egra, are doing in the coming weeks and months. To reiterate, we do seem to have stablecoins confirmed for Q1. So let's see. There's going to be exciting stuff and much more announcement to come through. So thank you both very much. Been a pleasure as always.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, catch you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Be safe, guys.